A millionaire walks into a diner and insults a black waitress in front of everyone. But what she does next doesn't just silence the room. It ends his entire career. You won't believe how one woman's strength turned humiliation into a standing ovation. This is the story of courage, consequences, and a bold move that shocked the world. It was a cold Tuesday morning in Manhattan, the kind of morning that turned coffee into survival and made people a little more impatient than usual. Inside the small corner diner on 6th and Lexington, the air smelled like bacon, syrup, and tired dreams. The hum of quiet conversations filled the room, mixed with the soft clinks of forks and the hiss of a steaming coffee machine. And in the middle of it all moved Raina. Raina was 27, black, quiet, and carried herself like someone who had lived through storms and learned how to stay standing. She wore a simple white waitress uniform, her hair tied in a tight bun. Her eyes were sharp, her back straight, and though she didn't smile often, she always greeted people with respect. Not because they always deserved it, but because she did. Raina didn't dream of being a waitress forever. But for now, this job kept her rent paid, her fridge half full, and her younger brother's college books covered. She didn't complain. She didn't have the time. She just delivered pancakes to a tired couple when she heard the sharp slam of a coffee mug hitting ceramic. Booth 9. The man sitting there wore a sharp navy suit that probably cost more than Raina's monthly rent. A Rolex sparkled from under his cuff. His hair was neatly combed, and he had that look, like he expected the world to move when he snapped his fingers. "Excuse me," he barked, loud enough to make a baby at the next table flinch. Raina walked over calmly. "Good morning, sir. Is everything all right?" He held up his cup like it was poison. "Is this sludge what passes for coffee here?" She didn't react. She was used to this. "Would you like a fresh cup, sir?" He laughed bitterly. "A fresh cup? What I'd like is someone who actually knows how to do their job." A few heads turned. Conversations paused mid-sentence. Someone dropped a piece of toast. Raina's face didn't change. "I'll bring you a new one, sir," she said gently. No. The man stood up now, his voice rising. "You know what I want. I want to know how a place like this hires someone like you." The diner went dead quiet. Raina stood still. Her hands were behind her back, her nails digging into her palm. He wasn't finished. "You people always act like the world owes you something," he sneered. "You think wearing that uniform makes you part of society?" Her lips parted slightly, but she said nothing. "You're just a waitress. Probably can't even spell customer service. My dog shows more discipline than you." Someone gasped. A man in a flannel shirt stood halfway up. But Raina didn't look at them. She held up a hand without turning, her calm still in place. She finally looked at the man. "Sir, I'm going to ask you politely to sit down and let me do my job." He laughed again, a cruel sound. "Or what? You'll call your manager? I own people like you. Always have." And that was the moment when something inside her snapped. Without a word, without even a warning, Raina moved. A swift step back, a clean pivot, and then crack! Her heel met his jaw in one perfect, powerful kick. His head snapped back. He stumbled and crashed into the booth behind him, landing in a mess of torn pride and spilled ego. Gasps filled the air. Someone dropped a fork. A waitress screamed. A man in the back yelled, "Call security!" But nobody moved. Not even Raina. She stood over him, chest rising and falling, fists trembling slightly. But her eyes stayed locked on his. "You don't own anyone," she said. "Clear. Cold. Final. Not anymore." The man blinked. A bit of blood ran from his lip. He looked around, expecting someone to come to his defense. But no one did. In fact, from the far corner of the diner, someone started clapping. Slow at first, then more, and more. until half the room was applauding. Reina didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just turned around and walked to the back counter, trying to catch her breath, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. She knew what was coming. Cameras had been pulled out. Someone had caught everything on video. She could already imagine the headlines. She might lose her job. She might even get arrested. But for the first time in a long time, she felt free. Behind her, the man pulled himself up, rage all over his face. "You're finished. Do you hear me?" he shouted. "You know who I am. I'm Vincent Taro. You'll never work in this city again." Reina turned slowly. "I've already worked 3 jobs just to survive," she said. "I don't care if I never pour another cup of coffee again. But no one gets to humiliate me and walk away." And then, the diner door opened. A tall woman in heels and a navy coat rushed in. She looked like she walked out of a boardroom and into a storm. "Vincent," she called. "What on earth happened?" He pointed at Reina. "She attacked me." The woman blinked. She looked at Vincent, then at Reina, then at the silent, angry crowd. "I just got 5 texts," she said slowly. 5 clients sent me video clips. You were shouting racial slurs at a waitress." The room held its breath. Vincent froze. "Attacked?" she repeated. "Really?" That was the moment when everything began to change. That woman wasn't just anyone. Her name was Vanessa. And she wasn't just Vincent's assistant, she was the only person powerful enough to end him. The diner held its breath. All eyes were on Vanessa, the woman in the navy coat, her heels clicking softly on the tiled floor as she stepped forward. Her face was calm, but her eyes told another story. Sharp, calculating, and furious. "Vincent," she said again, this time with ice in her voice. "I asked what happened." He straightened his shoulders like he always did when trying to show control. "She assaulted me, Vanessa. Right here in public. Call the lawyers. We're pressing charges." But Vanessa didn't move. Instead, she pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. "We're not doing that," she said quietly. "What?" "We're not pressing charges," she repeated, "because I've already seen the footage." She turned the screen toward him. A live video played shot from the back of the diner by a teenage boy. It had everything. The insults, the shouting, Reina's calm responses, and the moment when Vincent went too far. "This has 2.3 million views already," she said. "In just 20 minutes. Vincent's mouth opened, but no words came out. Vanessa leaned closer, her voice low but sharp enough to cut steel. "Do you know what the comments say? They're not on your side. They're calling you a racist, an abuser, a dinosaur. You just tanked your own reputation in under 5 minutes." He looked around. Phones still pointed at him. A few customers were live streaming. The cook had come out from the kitchen, arms crossed, watching silently. Reina was still standing behind the counter, shaking, but holding her ground. "I was provoked," Vincent whispered. "No," Vanessa replied firmly. "You were exposed." Then she turned to Reina. The entire room seemed to lean in. "I'm sorry," Vanessa said. Her voice was soft now. "Honest, I'm sorry for what you went through. No one should be treated like that. And on behalf of our company, I'd like to speak with you privately if you're open to it." Reina blinked. Her lips trembled. She hadn't cried through all of it, but this crack of kindness hit something deep. "I'm not looking for money," she said, voice hoarse. "I just want to stop being treated like I don't matter." "You do matter," Vanessa replied. Then she turned to the crowd. "This isn't just about today," she said clearly. "It's about what we let people like Vincent get away with every day." She turned back to him. "Vincent Taro will be stepping down from our company. Effective immediately." Gasps echoed around the diner. Vincent staggered back a step. "You can't do that. You don't have that kind of power." Vanessa stared him down. Actually, I do. The board voted me interim CEO 2 weeks ago. They've been watching you, Vincent. You gave them the final proof they needed. He looked lost, broken. All of this because of a waitress, he said bitterly. Vanessa turned toward Raina again. Not just any waitress. A woman with courage. A woman who didn't stay silent. The diner erupted into applause, louder this time. Real. Raw. Raina's knees felt weak. She leaned against the counter to steady herself. It all felt like a dream, too fast, too big. Vanessa stepped closer. Raina, you don't have to stay here anymore. I want to offer you a role in our company Human Resources and Community Outreach. Not because I pity you, but because we need people like you. Raina's eyes filled with tears. I don't have a college degree. You have something better, Vanessa replied. You have integrity. Vincent stormed out, mumbling curses under his breath. No one stopped him. No one followed. His kingdom had crumbled in one morning, at the hands of a woman he thought was beneath him. Raina stood still, feeling the warmth of the applause wrap around her like a blanket. She wasn't invisible anymore. She had been seen. She had been heard. Weeks passed, then months, and one sunny morning, Raina sat in a bright office on the 25th floor of a tall building, overlooking the Manhattan skyline. Her desk was clean, her name on a polished gold plate. Director of Community Equity and Outreach. She still wore simple clothes, still walked with quiet dignity. But everything had changed. Every now and then, she visited the old diner not as a worker, but as a reminder of where she came from, of who she still was. And when a new waitress walked in with nervous hands and unsure steps, Raina would smile and say, "Stand tall. You're worth more than you think." Because she knew firsthand. Sometimes, one bold move was all it took to change your life.